Hello and welcome to the Do Not Disturb Football Podcast, where football is forever in the green. That is Nimmer, and in the tannish color.
It's pink.
Okay, pink. In the pink, that is Darian. I love introducing you guys and trying to guess what color your shirts are, and then I can't figure it out. But we are in the new era of our show. We're coming out with the fantasy football talk, and then we'll be transitioning into TikTok live here later. But let's start with you guys. How are you doing today? Darren, why don't you go first?
No, we're feeling good. It was a pretty successful day at work, trying to get some things moving on the production side. But some good things should be shaping out for work here in the next couple of days. So I couldn't complain about today.
What about you, Nim?
Doing okay. After we got off the show, we ended up having to go back to the ER because I almost ended up getting a fever. We went at like 9. We left at like 11:30. It was so ridiculous. But he's doing well. He had they gave him antibiotics and some inflammation type of medicine. I don't know. And so he's doing well. Just a reminder to always, be present and enjoy your pets and your loved ones and everything like that. So it's a nice, friendly reminder. But other than that, good. Nice one's halfway through the week.
Nice. Well, sorry to hear that, man. Sounds like a tough ordeal what Amex is going through.
Yeah, the hardest part about this whole situation is that they don't know exactly what happens. And that's probably like the scariest part, whether it be a dog, whether it be a human, whether it be just not the doctors not knowing exactly how to treat it. And then you have to go, I guess, if the antibiotics don't work after a week, we're going to have to go to like a CT surgery type of thing for some glands. So it's just the unknown that kind of sucks. But it's life, I guess.
Well, I think we did the longest episode we've done last night.
Yeah, it was like 2.5 hours.
Yeah, like almost 2 hours and 40 minutes. I felt the wrath of that today. I was like falling asleep at work today. It was not good. I was sitting there like I had got some stuff done, and then I put my hands like this, and I was like sitting there like this, and I ended up falling asleep.
Just.
And I had like I was like, ugh. I like woke up like that, and I was like, oh shoot. I like moaned myself awake.
That is
But,
so funny. I forgot that you're East Coast, man. East Coast, that time sucks. Oh
I
my
hate it so
god.
much.
And then next week, Arizona, we have to go to Mountain Time. So like football right now is at 10. It ends at like 8:30, so it's like perfect right before bed. But like now we're gonna have to stay up longer. Like, ugh.
It's child's play over there.
Yeah, man. Bro. I couldn't even imagine.
Like when a game goes into overtime here, I'm just like so upset because I'm like, man, I'm gonna be here till
Oh my
1
god.
a.m.
Well, I remember the Dallas Steeler game. They're like,
Oh yeah,
the
I couldn't watch that game.
yeah. Well, I think Dak is the first time in history where Dak threw an interception in 2 days, back to back. The same game. I was like, oh my god.
That's crazy. Yeah, whenever we would go to Redskins games back in the day, like Monday night games, and it would just be the worst. You're leaving the stadium at like 12:30, not getting home until like 1, and it's such a rough go. So I totally understand. Yeah, watching, and if it gets into overtime, we're just leaving. Like there's no
Yeah, there's been so many games where I fall asleep like at halftime, and then I wake up and the game's over. I'm like,
Oh
well,
my
that's
god.
especially like college games. Some of these college games they start at 10, and I'm like, this is insanity. Like, who the hell stays up to watch these games?
Jeez.
the Pac-12 after dark games go
Yeah.
until midnight. Like, what the hell?
But let's get into the injury report. Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson, he's questionable with a back injury. Bills wide receiver Amari Cooper, he's questionable with a wrist injury. Cowboys corner Deron Bland, he's expected to return this week versus Atlanta. Lions quarterback Jared Goff, he's questionable with an ankle injury. Packers running back Josh Jacobs is questionable with an ankle injury. Colts wide receiver Josh Downs, he's questionable with a toe injury. Jaguars Tank Bigsby is questionable with an ankle injury. I saw that Coach Doug Peterson said that he feels good about ETN returning this week, though. Jaguars, Brian Thomas Jr., I don't think we said this yesterday. He's going to be missing, I think it's been reported 4 to 6 weeks with a chest injury.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely his ribs then.
Yeah. So both Christian Kirk and Brian Thomas Jr. are out for the next couple weeks for them. 49ers, Debo Samuel, he's questionable with a oblique injury. Seahawks are feeling optimistic about DK coming back and playing this week, but Tyler Lockett is questionable with the oblique injury. And then Titans wide receiver Calvin Ridley, he's questionable with a shoulder injury. And Washington's Brian Robinson is questionable with a hamstring injury. So most of those players that I mentioned, they did not practice today. That's why I thought they were worth talking about. There hasn't been a ton of news that happened today. The one thing I did see that I thought was interesting was the Panthers are going forward with Bryce to start, even though Andy Dalton is healthy. If you want my opinion on this, I think they're tanking by making this decision. They want a top 5 pick in the draft. And all those guys that we have told you to pick up off the waiver wire from the Panthers, Leggett and Thielen, they might be droppable now in the switch of a dime. So any reactions from you guys on that?
I'm just confused as an organization. You bench him because he's not playing well. You have to put him in because Dalton got injured. Shows glimpses he's okay, but to keep him in, it feels like it was like, oh, you're on timeout. Here's a slap on the wrist, and once the kid stops crying and throws a fit, you bring him back in. And it doesn't make any sense. Like if you're gonna bench him to watch how Dalton plays, handles the system, learn under him, give him more than just a couple weeks. just to get back into it. I don't know. I think it's a bad move. I think you keep Dalton in, have Bryce learn, try to win games because that's the ultimate reason why you're out there. But to tank to get a top 5 pick, which you're probably going to get anyway, doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, that's my thing. It's like they were gonna get a top 5 pick with Andy or with Bryce. So either way, I think that I kind of like this decision. I didn't really like them sitting him just because of his confidence. And if this is really going to be your franchise quarterback, you want him to get as much experience as possible. Him sitting behind Andy for a couple games might, give him a little bit of insight. But yeah, I kind of like it just because he needs. I mean, essentially, he needs more weapons in general. So at least he'll get a little bit of experience. And then when they get that top 5 pick, depending on, I don't even know what they would get an offensive lineman. They have a lot of good receivers, good running back.
I think they should go O-line.
Yeah,
They
so
should definitely go O-line.
maybe they just need a better O-line. But without a good O-line, like right now, what experience is he getting? So I get that defense. I don't know. It is interesting to see like their decision. But I mean, honestly, this is the difference between a shitty franchise, a crappy franchise and a good franchise is because I know I said that we were going to stop cussing. But the difference between a bad franchise and a good franchise, with a good franchise, this is our decision. This is what we're going to do. If we're wrong, that's completely fine. Just like how what the Niners did with Trey Lance. All right, we were wrong about Trey Lance. Let's get him out of the building, get some type of capital back, even though it wasn't as what we gave out. But with the Panthers, are just like, all right, yeah, this week you're gonna start. Next week you might be benched. You know what I mean? Like it's very inconsistent, and that's not how good organizations and good teams do. I'm so sorry, these damn dogs.
Yeah, to what you mentioned, I think this just rattles his confidence even more. But it also gives him lack of trust and confidence in his organization.
Mm-hmm.
It just
that's got to be out the window, though.
Oh, it's gone.
Yeah.
It's inconsistent. Like, am I starting? Am I not? Make a damn decision because I have a career here that you guys are muddling with. If I'm Bryce, I'd be like, all right, like I'm demanding a trade after this season during the offseason.
Yeah.
Send me somewhere that's gonna play me, or I can learn under somebody and build my way up. Like, kind of do the whole Jordan Love treatment underneath Aaron Rodgers when Aaron was actually good. And the Green Bay has always been pretty decent about developing QBs. Get him in a system like that. Like, shoot, I'd even send him to Green Bay. Have somebody underneath Jordan Love since he's kind of injury prone. Learn under him.
They have Malik though. He's young.
Malik sucks though. But like,
he's looked good with the
I
Packers.
was gonna say, man. I don't know.
No. I think he doesn't have a big enough sample size because the first game that he started, he went like what, 12-14 for barely over 100 yards, and then the second game he popped off, but he had 2 rushing touchdowns, so it inflated stats. Looked okay, I would say. Still didn't have a lot of passing yards.
I want to.
It just looked like a.
Go ahead.
It just looked like a huge jump from when he was in Tennessee to being in Green Bay.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I want to see him like on the Jets. I think the Jets should have him as a backup because without Aaron's gonna last 1-2 years. And one thing that coming out of the draft they said about Bryce Young is how smart he is. Right. So it's like, why not go the oldest quarterback in the league, have him teach you certain things, especially now. I feel like Green Bay, Aaron Rodgers wasn't trying to teach Jordan Love too much, but like, I feel like now Aaron Rodgers knows Jets or Aaron Rodgers knows he has a time limit. He wants to win, all that type of stuff, but he wants to build other people up. Like he has Garrett Wilson. He's being a mentor towards him with quarterbacks and stuff like that. Breece Hall, like that team's young. So once Aaron leaves, they're going to draft a quarterback and go through this whole entire cycle back again. Like, why not get a young quarterback, fall under Aaron Rodgers, and then hopefully you get a Jordan Love or a Patrick Mahomes, or like these quarterbacks that have backup experience, that's started as a backup and then filled in those shoes.
Yeah, it seems to me like this is David Tepper behind this, but I could be wrong.
100%.
I mean, that guy's a joke anyway. I had a whole
Yeah.
So stupid.
rage cage for him. I hope he saw it.
Well, let's get into our first fantasy topic today. This is in honor of National Tight Ends Day from this past weekend. There was so many different tight ends that scored, from George Kittle to Travis Kelce to Kyle Pitts scoring twice, Cade Otton scoring twice, Tucker Kraft, David Njoku, Dalton Kincaid, Sam Laporta. There was so many. There's even more tight ends than that scored. So I want to ask you guys, if you were to pick one tight end to be on your fantasy team for the rest of the season, who is it that you want? Nimmer, why don't you start?
We talked about him yesterday, and I think he's going to be the number one tight end, and he's going to be. 1 second. Did somebody else put him? Forgot what you guys put. I didn't want to steal your thunder. Yeah. Okay. I was afraid you guys were gonna put him too, because I saw Darian's face and I was like, "Oh no, did one of them put them?" But I would say Brock Bowers. I think Brock Bowers is gonna be first round next year. He's gonna be the tight end one. He's gonna be the tight end one this year, even if they have a receiver and stuff. Coming out of the draft, they were like, Brock Bowers is good, like a receiving tight end, 100%. They might even put him at slot or a receiver and stuff. So I think that's one. If I had to redraft, I definitely would get Brock Bowers.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Good pick, yeah.
Darren, who do you think?
Honestly, I have him on my team. I was high on him before the draft process, and that's Trey McBride. And he's lived up to what all the analysts said. He's going to be a top 5 tight end this year, currently ranked 3, and he gets targets regardless of the matchup. Even just last week, he had 11 targets. I think he had 8 receptions. But if you look at the past, I think it was 4 or 5 games, it was 8, 9, 8, 11 in targets. That's the kind of thing that you want to see in your starting tight end. I don't think he's only had 1 touchdown this year, which was a fumble recovery touchdown in the end zone. So he's not getting the red zone targets like we'd want, but he's getting yak. He's getting the receptions that build up over time. And I mean, he's had only 2 games where he's had single-digit fantasy points. So that's what you want out of your tight end. Start him every week. I got him, I believe, in the 5th round in our draft. So pretty good value. Once folks started drafting tight ends, I think he's going to increase his value next year. You could probably see him in round 4, round 3. So definitely a guy that I want to keep throughout the season and lock into my lineup.
Yeah, I think I would go with George Kittle. There's, been a lot of talk about who's the next playmaker to step up in San Francisco, with Ayuk being gone, Debo having this illness and now an injury that he's dealing with. And I know a lot of people are pointing to Jennings, but I think the guy that kind of goes forgotten about, who shouldn't, is George Kittle. And he's been a red zone threat for every single year of his career. He's starting to be like Purdy's favorite target in my eyes. And he's putting up points every single week. I would love just to have his kind of consistency on my team for the rest of the year.
All solid tight ends right there. You can't go wrong.
Yep. And I love National Tight Ends Day. I didn't, really know about it until a couple of years ago. I think Kittle was the one that made it. Founded it.
Why is it that specific day? Because I remember he founded it and said, "Oh, it's National Tight Ends Day. It's National Tight Ends Day," and then it blew up. But why is it always the 4th week of October? That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I don't know.
I wonder if it's his birthday.
Maybe.
Could, yeah.
It seemed to just kind of be a thing he said and then it kind of caught traction.
Oh no, his birthday's October 9th.
October 9th. Could be his mom.
That's true.
But let's get into our next segment, Fool's Gold or Diamonds. We brought you this segment last week. It is back. We have a whole new slate of players that we're going to discuss, and we'll talk about if they're a good pickup, a diamond, or a bad pickup, Fool's Gold. The first target, or not target, first player I want to talk about is a guy out of the Panthers, Xavier Legette. I don't know. Did you guys see that interview today where he said asparagus?
Spur.
Yeah.
What?
I'm allergic.
Yeah,
Oh
just
my
gotta look up Legette saying asparagus. It's very funny. But
That's hilarious.
Bro is true
I love
South
that.
Carolina country boy. I'll tell you that for sure.
he is.
I've
I
seen
just
this.
showed-
Go ahead.
No, after you.
I saw this one video of his interview, and it's just all like his whole sentence just all bundled up together with no spaces, and then you just like follow it, and it's exactly what he's saying. It is so funny.
Yeah, dude's funny. The accent is wicked, but yeah, if you watch, there's another. It's Glorilla. She does an interview. I forget who it's with, but she does the same thing with the
Yeah.
So
Demur.
like,
Oh my god.
yeah, it's really funny.
I love
Curtsy.
the southern accent.
Yerksy.
It's funny.
Going to Logan's comment, he said this guy turned $10 into 187K, putting 14 leg parlay on the tight ends. Yeah. Logan, me and Darian put a leg together, and we had it was only four legs, right?
Yeah, it was only
Four legs right before the show on Sunday when we went live on TikTok. We hit 3 out of the 4, and the last leg was Komet, and he didn't score.
Yeah.
And it was
It's terrible.
it was 5 to win like 600, 700.
Yeah, it was $800.
$800.
$800.
So it was just so upsetting just seeing all these guys hit it, and I didn't even know about it until Sunday morning, or else I would have put it in the freaking locks of the week. It's bad
Yeah,
reporting on my spec.
We've been talking up commit a lot too. I put it on Caleb Williams though. I think that's Caleb Williams' fault.
100%.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Legette. He's had a stretch of pretty good games here. His most recent game, he had 7 targets, 4 receptions, and a touchdown against the Broncos. Nimmer, what do you think? Is this guy fool's gold or a diamond?
I think he's gold. I mean, I think he's a diamond. I think that with Thielen coming back from injury, with Deontay Johnson getting traded, even though Bryce Young is not going to be the best quarterback to get the ball thrown to, I think that getting him off waivers, he's not going to have a projection of 15 points, but it would be a nice little flex spot. So I see him being a diamond. I don't see people dropping him that well. So,
Darren, what do you think?
No, I'm right there with Nimmer. I think he's definitely a diamond. I mean, just with what you're getting, target share wise, 7, getting 4 receptions and a touchdown, has I think 3 touchdowns on the year. I mean, so that's what you want to see in a rookie, starting to build up. When is their bye week? Did Carolina already have their bye?
I'm
I don't
not
think
sure.
so. They might be week 11 is my guess. But usually we see rookies really break out after the bye week. They get included even more in the offense. So I think when it comes to after their bye, he could be a really hot commodity. He could be going forward and hitting those projections of 15 plus if he's got a hot hand from Bryce. So really depends on how Bryce plays and how he distributes the ball. But I do like the young targets for Carolina going forward. I think they're all like diamond-ish, but Legette definitely a diamond.
They have the week 11 bye. I just looked.
Perfect.
Yeah, I mean, I've been saying that he's a good waiver wire pickup all year. So I'm going to call him a diamond. I would say, though, if I had him on my roster, I don't think I'd ever have the confidence to start him just because this whole situation with the quarterback that's going on. And the Panthers are liable to get blown out every single week. This is the worst team in football. So, yeah, it's kind of hard to trust him. But I think he's worth having on your roster if you need a receiver. Next guy, he is kind of come out of nowhere. I actually am a fan of this guy, Calvin Austin III for the Steelers. Nimmer, I'll go to you first.
Unfortunately, I think that it's just fool's gold. I really like him. I think he's a great part of it. As a Steeler fan, I love him on the team, but fantasy wise, I probably wouldn't pick him up. I think he's a boomer bust. I think that with Van Jefferson being the wide receiver 2, even actually really would be the third target share. Like he'd be third on the list for target share behind George Pickens and Freiermuth. So the fact that he is 5th on the list, I don't like that. Logan.
Drew. Oh, I thought you froze, Drew. You're just.
I was looking at Logan's comment.
He's like, of course the guy lives in Pittsburgh brings up their receiver.
Oh.
Hey, I mean, he had 20 points this past game for fantasy. That's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
A punt return and a receiving touchdown.
Yeah. I just don't think that I wouldn't pick him up.
What do you think, Darian?
I mean, I gotta agree with Nimmer again. Consistency wise, I'm just looking at his target share on the offense, which is what you'd be picking him up for, because the off chance he does get another punt return or a kick return touchdown, the odds are really slim to have that, to bank on that. And just looking at his target share, he's like throughout the year, his highest is only 5. And he had a decent breakout game in week 3 against the Chargers where he had 95 yards and a touchdown, catching 4 of the 5 targets. But, I mean, I just don't think it's somebody that you can hold on to and he can sustain breakout games like a 20-point or a 19-point game. So I think he's fool's gold.
Yeah, I agree. I like Calvin Austin. I've kind of gone back and forth who I would like. I'm probably not picking up either, but if I had to pick which one I would go with, either Van Jefferson or Calvin Austin, I kind of go back and forth on that. I'm not really sure who I would pick.
Yeah, that's hard.
Okay.
I feel like
But
I feel like Van Jefferson's on the field a lot more than Calvin Austin.
Yeah. I'm not picking either of them up, but next guy is Noah Brown. So he had 6 targets, 3 receptions, 73 yards, and a touchdown, 16.3 points. Darren, what do you think? Is this guy a diamond or fool's gold?
I like him. I think it was a couple weeks ago I said stash him. He could have a pop-off game. This just so happened to be it. But, I mean, you're looking at targets. It's just not what you want in a viable option in the flex. This is his max that he's seen in the season, being 6. And then he had the literal last-second 52-yard bomb from Jaden, which made most of these yards. So if you take away the 52, he only had 21 yards on 2 targets or 2 receptions, excuse me. So, I mean, 10 yards per catch and then 1 big bomb. Not sustainable. I think he's a stashable dude, but I think it's fool's gold. You just be waiting and banking on the next opportunity. So, yeah, for that, fool's gold.
What are your thoughts, Nim?
No, I agree. I think that you kind of took the words out of my mouth. I was thinking about that, that fact that it was a 52-yard touchdown. So that's 5 points plus the 6 from the touchdown. That's 11 points. So 11 out of the 16 points were from that Hail Mary. Plus, I think that McCaffrey is the wide receiver 2 in that offense. So I wouldn't want a wide receiver 3. I don't think there is a team in the NFL right now that has, I guess the Texans, but Yeah, probably the Texans would be the only team that have a wide receiver 3 that I would be confident in starting. Um, but as of right now, I think it's fool's gold.
Yeah, I like Noah Brown, but I think it's fool's gold. It seems like Jaden Daniels' number one target is Terry McLaurin, and then the number 2 target to me is Zach Ertz, which
Mhm.
is pretty cool that Zach Ertz is still kind of producing at the age that he's at, and all the teams that he's been on. It seems like he's found a temporary home for now with Washington, but I don't think Noah Brown is worth picking up right now. And then the last guy, Isaac Garendo from San Francisco. He had 14 carries last week, 85 yards, and a touchdown, 19.1 points. He really only got the start because Jordan Mason had something last minute. I think it was an illness that pulled him out of the game. Then Garendo stepped in and had 19.1 points. So I'm interested to hear
Jeez.
your thoughts on this. Nimmer, is this a fool's gold or a diamond?
I mean, think about the team that they played. They played against the Dallas Cowboys, who were ranked 31 in rushing. So, and is Mason coming back this week? Do you guys know? Or was he on the injury report?
He's
I think
still
it's
questionable.
yeah.
So, plus McCaffrey's coming back, and he has a bye this week. So, I might pick him up if you have like 3 empty slots or 3 people that you are willing to drop, like Caleb Williams, like some of these people that you are like hoping that are gonna exceed, but not, and you really need to win. I probably would stash him for this week so you can play him next week, but I think it's just fool's gold. I don't see him producing like that.
Fair take.
What do you think, Darian?
I'm gonna have to disagree.
Hmm.
No, I'm kidding. That whole
I
system.
was like, oh shit, for the rest of the year, you're gonna get him? Okay.
No. I think the Shanahan offense is so favorable to the running back. Anybody, I hate to say it, but I feel like any running back you could pick up off the streets, maybe not off the streets, but you could put a running back into that system and they could pop off. And plus, teams have been scheming for Jordan Mason. You get a new guy in, you don't know how he operates in the system. So usually they pop off, which I mean, he did for 19.1 points. I think he's a good stash depending on how Jordan Mason, his injuries pan out, and if they're bringing in CMC, they're probably going to, build him up just like they did with Chubb, building up more and more carries, be more sustainable in that offense. So Garendo could see more of the targets. I shouldn't say targets, but the snap share when CMC's back. So overall, he's a fool's gold, stashable fool's gold though, depending on how CMC pans out and Jordan Mason.
Yeah, like you said, Darian, that system really favors a lot of running backs. So I think he's fool's gold. I honestly think when McCaffrey's back, I think they're going to kind of be in like a desperate situation. I think they're going to give McCaffrey the full workload immediately when he gets back. And even Jordan Mason, he might be someone that's kind of forgotten about towards the end of the season. Maybe at first it's like a 60-40 share, but I honestly believe McCaffrey's going to come back with the full workload, and we're going to kind of forget about the backups that have played well in his absence. So
Does Shanahan's offense doesn't really do a running back by committee, huh? Like it's not really like shared running back target. I mean, obviously I'm Christian McCaffrey, so not really going to be.
It seemed like when McDaniels was there as the running back coach with Shanahan in San Francisco, it seemed like they kind of did have a little bit of a committee thing going on because they had Mostert and Jeff Wilson and pretty much the same guys they have in Miami now.
Yeah.
But
Interesting.
But yeah, ever since McCaffrey's been there, it's pretty much just been McCaffrey, and then you'll throw in, and I keep forgetting about Elijah Mitchell too. I think he's out for the season, but
Mhm.
it's crazy the amount of running backs they've gone through. But let's get on to the defensive start of the week. All three of us are going to give you guys a defense you should be streaming this week if you're in that situation. A lot of fantasy players are. We have done some research, and we're going to give you three defenses we think have some favorable matchups this week. So, Darian, why don't you start? Who is your defense start of the week?
Yeah, I was looking at their projections. They're kind of lower than I thought they would be, especially being in the second matchup. That being the Saints against Carolina. I think they're projected 5.5 points. I think that's kind of wild given the last time it was a blowout. It was 47-10. I think the Saints defense is incredible. It's leaps and bounds better than Carolina's offense. Now that Deontay Johnson's gone, they're looking at a rookie wide receiver and then a guy who just got off of IR in Adam Thielen. If I'm the Saints defense, I'm licking my chops, and they just brought back Bryce Young in the fold as the starting QB. This is a recipe for another blowout, hopefully, via the Saints. But with that, I think it's a viable streaming option. I think they definitely get some picks on Bryce, maybe even one touchdown. So I like the Saints in this one.
Yeah, last time they played the Panthers, they had 16 points. They picked off Bryce Young twice, forced a fumble, and had 4 sacks.
Mm-hmm.
Jeez.
So that was the game that Darian said was going to be close to start the season.
Yeah, we don't talk about that.
Logan. I'm looking at Logan's comments. Nimmer.
Hey, you know what, Logan? This is for you because you're gonna love me after this. I mean, at the end of the day, this team sucks, but I think this team has a favorable matchup this week, and I think it's the Patriots. The Patriots defense has been kind of up and down. In the very beginning, they were doing really well. Then Mayo said that this defense was soft, and everybody on the defense was soft, and blah blah blah. And I think that with them playing the Titans, I mean, the Titans are way worse than they are right now. They are 28th in scoring, 31 in passing, and 31 in third down conversions. So that third down conversions kind of shows me that it's going to be they're going to get off the field a lot. Can't convert third down, can't extend the drives and stuff like that. So, which means that the score is going to be low. So, never thought this would happen. Yeah, there you go. It's the only time I'm going to pick the Patriots. So, yeah. So, I like the Patriots defense against the Titans offense.
And for this week, I like Philadelphia versus, guess who? The Jaguars. Philadelphia has been on a little bit of a hot streak the past 3 weeks. They scored 8 points and then 15 points and 8 points. That was against Cleveland, Giants, and Cincinnati. Against the Giants, they had 8 sacks. So they're starting to rack up the sacks. They had 5 against Cleveland. This Jaguars team, they just traded their left tackle, Cam Robinson, to the Vikings, which is a good move for the Vikings. But I mean, this Jaguars offensive line was not doing well to start, so now you just lost your offensive tackle. I think this is a pretty good matchup for the Eagles this week. I think they're one of the better streaming options.
Mm-hmm.
Just added him to my team.
Yeah, I saw you do that.
Yeah.
Well, you just did that now?
I just did that right now. I was thinking, I was between the Saints and the Eagles, but I think I like the Eagles a little bit more.
Crazy work.
Gotta be fast, man.
It's okay. I have Steelers and Saints.
I know.
So.
I'm just holding on.
So just such a bad defense.
I'm just holding on to the Vikings. I hope that Flacco doesn't shred them this week. That'll be kind of scary if that does happen.
Yeah, it would. Drop 3 games in a row would be foul.
Yeah. But I have to. I mean, I have to hold on to him at this point.
You can't
So
trade him.
let's go into trade targets. There is still a little bit of time for trading in your leagues. I think the deadline for most leagues is around the end of next month. I can't really remember, but the actual deadline in the NFL is November 5th. So there's still chances that some of these players are going to be moved. But let's get into these trade targets. Some of the guys that we think you should be targeting if you are in need for a trade. Nimmer, why don't you start?
All right. I just love Logan's comment. God works hard, but Nimmer works harder for a decent fantasy season. Yes. That's what I'm talking about. And first in the league too, so we kind of touched on tight ends, and I think this tight end was going to be my pick, but I didn't want to talk about him twice. And that's Otten. I think that with the Mike Evans being banged up, and then with Godwin out, I think that Baker is going to hit Otten a lot more. Plus, this week, I mean, he has the Kansas City, who is ranked dead last in against tight ends. So I really like Otten, especially because there's not too many good tight ends out there. I feel like there's a big drop off between like the top 5 and then all the way down. So he would be pretty cheap to trade for. And my favorite thing about tight ends is that if you get a good tight end, you don't have to worry about him anymore because there's usually only one spot for the tight end, and you can put him as a flex if you want. So I'm just hoping Hook doesn't play him this week, and that's who I would try to target.
Darren, who is your trade target?
Yeah, he's one of your players. It's Ladd McConkey. I like him a lot. Just with this past weekend against New Orleans, going 6 for 6 in 111 yards and 2 touchdowns. You want to see that out of a rookie wide receiver in that system. Herbert and him are building a relationship together, getting more in sync, being in tune. Plus, he has a somewhat favorable playoff matchups. So he's got Tampa Bay, who's been abysmal against the pass. I mean, case in point against Atlanta, both times just scorching them all over. Denver, kind of the hard one, I'd say. In the last outing against Denver, he went 4 for 8 for 43 yards. But I think in this system, he's going to get ahead of steam going into those weeks. And then they finish with New England. So if I'm a playoff caliber team, I definitely would make a move to go get McConkey just to have in in my flex options or even in my bench, just to have some rotational pieces going forward when it comes down to the playoffs. So I definitely like him going forward. He's I would say kind of a sell high since you just came off of a 29-point week. So get your money, but get also a good quality player.
Correct. So, Darren, if you want to give your RB1, you can have McConkey.
Yep. Yeah, I'm holding. I was talked off that ledge. I'm chilling.
I talked off that ledge.
And the player I'm going with is on Darian's team, which is funny. This is Travis Etienne. And I think this guy has kind of gotten forgotten about. He's had a pretty rough season this year, coming off an injury. But to me, I think he's worth trading for. He doesn't have the best playoff schedule. Week 12 is a bye. That's going to be a crucial week for a lot of teams. And after that, he has Houston, Tennessee, Detroit's in there, Minnesota's in there. So those are some tough matchups. But I think with the injury to Christian Kirk, him out for the season, Brian Thomas Jr. being out for the next couple weeks, and ETN coming back this week, we're all assuming. I think he's going to start to get involved more. And I think he might have a sneaky little ending to this season and be a quality player. So I think he's someone you could probably lowball someone pretty easily for and get there's a guy in our league that owns him, and I know that's not happening. So,
Hey, just trade McConkley for Etienne, and then you guys both could be happy. That would be a
No.
great trade.
I'm not doing that.
Yes, I've been trying to sell ETN, and I tell people I'm like he's
So
gonna
bad.
be good, but I mean nobody listens.
Yeah, because you're like, oh, I'll give you Etienne for Kyron Williams, and you're like,
I never
not
offered
going to
that.
do that.
I never offered that.
Okay.
Put some respect out there. I put respect towards Kyron. I was gonna give you AJ Brown and somebody, and you're like, I can't have him as my RB1. Like, I was gonna give you Aaron Jones, AJ, and somebody else, and you were like, oh no. You would have had a mean team there, Nim.
Hey, I'm first in the league, man. I already have a mean team. 98% chance of making the playoffs.
Okay. You say that now, and then James Conner is gonna get hurt, and you're gonna be crying.
Why put that out? Why put that
Ooh.
out there? Why put that out there?
Yeah, you're at the top. I pray for your downfall, brother.
All right, Ricky. Okay, Rick. It's all right. I'm just gonna. All these haters are gonna hate.
Yeah, it's gonna be. Oh man, it's gonna be a stressful next couple of weeks for me. I am like gripping the arms of my chair because I'm just scared about what's gonna happen with the matchups that I have coming up.
I have a gauntlet too.
I need to.
So speaking of, Logan said in the chat, would you trade Javonte Williams and Mike Evans for Justin Jefferson?
Who's gonna take that?
Who's doing that, Logan?
So
Because
I'm
that's
assuming,
Logan.
yeah, I 100% would do that.
1000% I would do that.
Yeah.
But let's get into the against the spread.
All right. There it is.
Week 9 spread. It doesn't seem like as tough as a bunch of games here, like a slate, as it was last week. But there's still some tough matchups. So let's start with the Texans, the Jets. That's the Thursday night game. I was pretty surprised by this line. Something Vegas knows. I mean, they called the last Thursday night game with the Rams and the Vikings, so maybe they know something that I don't. But Darren, who do you think covers here? Jets are favored by half a point.
I'm just before we get into it, Nimmer, you gave yourself 2 extra losses. Trying to help you out. You're 63 and 60.
Crap. All right.
And it's like, damn,
I'm
bro.
already
like-
accounting for 2 of the losses. I already know.
All right, let me get to it. Yeah, this one, the line being 0.5 is wild to me, but I think the Texans are a better team. Case in point, Jets are 2 and 6. Give me the Texans clearing this.
What do you think, Nim?
See, I think the Jets. I think that Vegas knows something. I think the fact that Texans are really banged up right now on the offensive side. I think the Jets can pull this off.
Yeah, I've made this mistake too many times. I'm not going with the Jets. I'm going with Houston. If they can't beat the Patriots, I don't know how they're going to cover against the Texans. But Vegas has a lot of their secrets, so I don't know.
The one time you don't pick the Jets, they're gonna win. It's gonna
Yeah.
be so funny.
Everyone will score.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Cowboys at the Falcons. Atlanta is favored by 2.5 points. Nimmer, who do you have covering here?
The Cowboys are just in shambles. I think the Falcons are starting to get on that get on a roll, and so I like the Falcons.
Darren, who do you have covered?
Honestly, my thoughts are exactly with Nim. They're going to have that role. They're developing it. Plus, that passing attack is just crazy. So, yeah, give me the Falcons.
Yep, give me the Falcons. Love seeing the Cowboys lose. It's going to be another one for you. So,
Yep.
Dolphins at the Bills. Buffalo is favored by 6.5 points. Nimmer, who do you have covering?
I like the Bills. I think there's still a little bit of rust in the Dolphins. But if I was a betting man and I am a betting man, I'm staying away from this just because this could be Tua's revenge game. And, last time he played the Dolphins, he got hurt, so he might be showing out. I think the Bills are just too big of a juggernaut.
Darren, who do you got?
Now, let's talk about this. You said yesterday David had a stat with like whoever played. I forget what you said word for word, but when another team plays
The Lions.
The Lions, they win the next week.
They
lose. They're 0-5, 0-6 now.
All right, now I have a different one. Everybody who plays the Cardinals the week before and lose, they win the next game. So the Dolphins are going to go be big dick swinging here, and they're going to beat the Bills. So I got them covering.
Logan, to answer your question, this is a different segment, but for the Pick'em League, Sammy, I think, is still up by like 4 games or something.
Yeah.
I'm in second place now, and Nimmer's in third, and I think
I missed a whole week.
Darian's quite far down the list. So, but yes, Sammy is still kicking our ass in that. For this game, yeah, it's interesting. Looking at it now, it's made me think like, ooh, should I go Dolphins?
Yeah, I might waffle back. I mean, 6.5
is pick with pride. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, given the history, Bills have dominated the Dolphins. I thought it was funny when the reporters asked Tua, they're like, "You're playing Buffalo this week. Are you like concerned?" And he was like, "No." He was like, "It's just another game of football." Because Buffalo was the last game where he had that concussion.
I feel like football is more his worst enemy than a specific team. It's the ground.
Yeah. I'm going to go Bills. I'm not very confident in that pick, but I'm just going to go with the Bills just because. Raiders at Bengals. Bengals are favored by 7.5 points. Nimmer, who do you have covering here?
I like the Bengals. Give me the Bengals. 7.5 is a lot, though. But I think the Raiders are just I have no confidence in the Raiders. So sorry, Carlos, and sorry all my Raider fans, but I want you guys to be good. I really, 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 really do, but I just can't pick you in confidence.
Darren, who do you have covering?
The Raiders suck. Give them the Bengals. It's easy.
Yeah, it's a lot of points, but I think I have to go to with the Bengals. Raiders are awful. Chargers at Browns. The Chargers are favored by 1.5 here. Darian, I'll go to you first. Who do you have covering here?
It's kind of an odd line. I think the Chargers are definitely a better team than the Browns. And for that reason alone, I think they cover.
Nim, who do you have covering?
Give me the Jameson Williams in the Browns. I think he's gonna change that team around. Last year it was Joe Flacco. Now it's Jameson.
Jameis Winston.
Jameis.
It coming off my tongue, it didn't even sound right, but I wanted to be confident and be like, you know what? Yeah, I know exactly what I'm talking about. But
yeah, we got Sam Bradford out there for the Rams too.
Just names in general. Why do we need names? We should just use numbers.
Pray for all the dyslexic people. I mean, it still goes with names too, but
I'm
numbers
ass-
are worse.
Oh my god, that would be so funny. Oh my god. Be like, I'm dyslexic. What's your number?
What's your number?
I'm assuming the wise guys are thinking kind of what Nimmer is saying, that Jameis is going to make this a close game. I like the Chargers defense, though. I think they're an underrated group. So I'm going to go with the Chargers. And we kind of know how Jameis is with turning the ball over. So
Yeah.
Patriots at Titans. Tennessee is favored here by 2.5 points. Nimmer, who do you have covering?
Mentioned it earlier. You're welcome, Logan. I think the Patriots are gonna. I think they're gonna not steal this one because the Titans suck. But honestly, the fact that they just beat the Jets and they're underdogs is crazy. So give me the Pats. Oh, I need to wash my mouth after that.
What about you, Darren?
I don't know. I was feeling a little spicy. Let me get the Titans in this one.
Okay.
I was
I'm going
just,
with the.
just looking at it, just like I picked.
Yeah.
That's my reasoning.
I'm going with the Patriots. I think they're the better team. I don't think the Titans are very good. So, Commanders at Giants. That says New Orleans, but
Oh crap! Sorry.
you're fine. The
It's 3.5.
Commanders are favored by 2.5
2.5.
right now. Darren, I'll go to you since you're the Commanders fan. Who do you got covering?
You know I can't stray away, baby. It's the Commanders, but this could be the trap game. There's that. Anytime we play the Giants, just you have that little sneaking suspicion it's a trap game and we lose. I said it for the first time we played, but I think this time, yeah.
It was a close game, right?
Yeah, it was 21-18.
Yeah.
So it was a 3-point spread.
Nimmer, who do you have covering?
Yeah, give me. I think the Commanders have all the momentum. I think it's a completely different team than last time they played the Giants. So give me the Commanders. But I think it is going to be a lot closer than people think, just because the Giants played the Steelers really well. So when the Steelers have a much better defense than the Commanders, so it's going to be interesting.
91% of the public is going with the Commanders. I am part of that 91%. Yeah, I think this Commanders team is, I said yesterday, they're contending to be a Super Bowl appearance. So I think they should handle the Giants easily. The Giants, they have good pieces, but man, you watch a Giants game and you're like, man, by the time that it's the third quarter, you're like, man, I've seen 50 penalties on the offense.
Mm-hmm.
They're awful. They cannot run clean football.
They would have beat us if they didn't get that many penalties.
It looked like Dayball's head was about to pop off his shoulders because he was so mad.
That guy needs to stay away from the microphone as well.
Saints at the Panthers. New Orleans is favored here by 6.5 points, just under a touchdown. Nimmer, who do you have covering?
The Saints are a little banged up, but I have no confidence in the Panthers. Give me the Saints.
Garen, who do you have covering?
Yeah, I think Carr's back. So Kamara's going to go off. So I got the Saints.
Yeah, I'm going with the Saints too. I think they can beat them by at least a touchdown. Is Carr back? Is that official?
I think he came out and said that he is. He said that he's no savior. I was reading that ESPN post, but he should be back this week.
That's good news. Broncos at the Baltimore Ravens. I'm pretty nervous about this game. Nimmer, who do you have covering?
I think that the Ravens are going to take control of the majority of the game. They're going to be winning by 10, maybe 14 points. And then what's going to happen is that the fourth quarter is going to come around and they're going to choke. Maybe not choke, but like they're going to dwindle down. The Broncos are going to come back. And the Broncos have. So I think that 10 is a lot of points for the Broncos. And I think that the Ravens have a really, really, really good offense, but a really, really bad defense. And the Broncos have a pretty good defense and an okay offense. So I think that 10 is a lot.
Darren, who do you have covering?
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself. I think the defense for the Broncos, they're really exciting. Is Sertan back from his concussion?
He should be.
Yeah, so he's locked down. He's been locked down all season. So, yeah, I mean, if he's covering Zay, he's covering Deontay, he's going to lock it all down. So the running game for the Ravens is what may set this bar higher, but I think 10 points is a lot of points. So I have the Broncos covering.
I've got the Ravens covering. I don't feel very good about this matchup. I think the weakest part of the Denver's defense is right up the middle, and I think the Ravens are going to exploit that, and I think they can win by at least 10 points, maybe 14. So,
Wow, some
Man.
Bronco fan.
I'm always picking against the Broncos, but
You are.
I feel like I'm right more times than not with the Broncos. I feel like I know them too well. Bears at the Cardinals. Cardinals are favored by 1.5 points. Bears coming off that heartbreaker against Washington. Darren, who do you have covering here?
Man, I don't know what it is with the Cardinals. They're high one game, low the next. They somewhat compete with the teams that they're playing against sometimes. I think they cover. I just was looking at it. I think they could. I think some steam here. And I think just against this Bears defense, it's a possibility that they keep it close. But
Number, who do you have covering?
Yeah. So the biggest thing about with Kyler Murray's COD's out, COD's out. Well, this COD is trash with the skill based matchmaking and all that. So I don't think he's been playing a lot. So I give me the Cards.
Did you buy COD?
No. The only reason I'm gonna buy COD is to play zombies. The zombies looks really fun. But the skill based matchmaking, people already like gold camos, prestige like 4 or 5.
Oh,
and
yeah.
the game's only been out for like 2 or 3. I mean, there's so many other like TikTokers that's complained about. It's not even the game. They said I saw this one thing and it was like, this is the best COD that we've had. But the fact that the COD community is ruining the actual franchise, and the franchise isn't doing anything about it.
Yeah, I feel like they have so many weirdos that play the game.
Yeah.
I've heard that the campaign is good, though, for this one.
The campaign and the zombies would be the only thing that I'm just probably going to wait for it to be on sale. Get it on Black Friday or something.
It's a good idea. I'm taking the Cardinals. They are, I think, probably the most difficult team to predict with covering. But I'm just going to pick them this week because they're favored, and the Bears looked terrible on offense last week. So, Jaguars at the Eagles. Eagles are favored by 7.5 points. Nimmer, who do you have covering?
I picked up the Eagles defense. Give me the Eagles.
Who do you have, Darren?
I think it's a clear winner here, the Eagles.
Yeah, this should be an absolute demolition. Give me the Eagles. Lions at Packers. Schefter just said today that he believes Jordan Love's going to play in this game. I don't love that as a fantasy owner, but Detroit is favored by 4.5 points. Darren, who do you have covering here?
Yeah, I got the Lions. I was thinking when I made this choice that Malik was going to be playing, I went on ESPN and was trying to see how many points he was projected. He wasn't even listed. Uh, like he's 0-0. So I do believe Love is going to play. So it'll be an interesting thing. But I think the Lions' offense is just crazy.
Yeah.
So I picked the Lions because I thought it was going to be Malik Willis. But if it's Jordan Love, I think the Packers cover. I think that the Packers defense is better than the Lions, and I think that 4.5 is a lot of points. So depending on with Jordan Love, I'm switching it to the Packers. Without Jordan Love, I'm picking the Lions.
Sounds like Love's playing. If Schefter's saying that he's believing that he's going to play, I think he's going to play.
Wow.
I'm going to take the Lions. I don't love trying to play in this game because if you watch the Jaguars game, it looked like he had gotten shot or something the whole game. He was like limping every single play and like barely getting onto the sideline. So I don't know how he's going to play through this game. Granted, they don't have Aiden Hutchinson there, so it's not as scary as a defensive line, but still, I think this is not a good choice by Love to play in this game. So I'm going to take the Lions. Rams at the Seahawks. The Seahawks are favored by less than a point. This is a pick'em matchup. Nimmer, who do you have covering?
I like the Rams. I don't know why I chose the Seahawks. That's kind of weird, but I like the Rams. They're nice and healthy. They have the all their weapons back. So they got the momentum at the perfect time. Now they're really gonna try to get that push going, that second half push.
Darren, who do you have covering?
I picked the Seahawks. Or did I not? No.
You picked the Rams, but I think
No,
I must have flopped them. Then I don't know.
Yeah, I picked the Seahawks. Yeah, that might have been the case. Yeah, I think if DK's back and just watching the Minnesota offense in the first half, they were peppering the Rams defense against the pass. Like Jefferson was, it felt like he was 11 for 11, 100 yards already in the first half. But if the Seahawks with a fully healthy DK, even JSN, and Gino having a pretty piss poor game against the Bills, I think it's a revenge game in a sense. So I think they cover.
Yeah, it's an interesting matchup. I could see why it's a pick'em game. I believe in the Rams. I think I said it yesterday. I think the Rams are going to make it into that last spot in the playoffs. You're going to have to win this game to get into that mix. So I'll take the Rams. Colts at the Vikings. The Vikings are favored by 5.5 points. I just looked at who I picked and I don't know if that's right, but Nimmer, why don't you start?
I like the Vikings in this, but the fact that Joe Flacco's being the quarterback kind of scares me. So I'm not confident in this pick, but I think the Vikings are a better team.
Darren, who do you got covering?
I have the Vikings. And when it comes to the Colts, they lose really bad to teams who have a competent running back. And Aaron Jones is that. I know we were talking about it yesterday. Bad take at the beginning of the year. Thought he was a bad pick. He's proven everyone wrong. So I think with that, the Vikings are going to just lean into getting him the ball. And then once the Colts defense gets lulled into the run, boom, over the top to Jefferson. So, yeah, I think the Vikings are just going to be too good.
Did I pick the Colts here, Nim?
You did. But
Okay.
I'm like,
no, I'll stay with the Colts. I don't know why I was thinking that this morning, but I'll just stick with it. I do kind of think that the Vikings are primed for a defensive rebound here, have their defense look better. But maybe with Flacco, this is like a field goal win for the Vikings, or hell, maybe even the Colts. The Buccaneers at the Chiefs. The Chiefs are favored by a lot of points, 8.5 points. So, Nimmer, who do you have covering?
Give me Bacon prime time. I like Bacon. I think there was a stat about Mahomes and if it was like 5.5 or more or something like that, he never covers. So give me the Bucks.
Who you got, Darren?
Hey, I love me some Baker. I got the Buccaneers. And if we're going bold take, I think the Bucks win this game. Give the Chiefs their first loss. We've seen that
That would
Bake
be
can distribute the
wild.
ball even without his two best receivers. So give me the Bucks, baby.
I love that. Yeah, I think it's too many points. So I'm going with the Buccaneers too. But let's get into Nimmer's locks before we get out of here and go on to the TikTok stream.
All right. So we've been doing really bad. So we're trying to get back, and that's on me for not knowing it was tight end day. We definitely would have hit some of those parlays. Hopefully we wouldn't have put we wouldn't have put Cole Kmet in. We would have hit that 130 like that one dude did. But so I have two parlays for you. I really like 3 games based off the score. I like the Broncos and Ravens. I think it's going to go over. I think 45 is not that much. Most of the Ravens games have Ravens scored 30 points, and I think the Broncos can score at least 2 touchdowns. So I like the over in that game. The unders, I like the Patriots and Titans. That's going to be a very defensive game. I don't trust either of those offenses. And the Pats, out of the past 6 games against the bottom 10 scoring defenses, the unders hit 4 times. So 4 out of the 6 times it's hit when the Patriots play a bottom 10 scoring defense. So give me the under in that, and then the Chargers and the Browns. The under has hit 12 out of 13 times when the Chargers are a favorite. So give me the unders and Chargers. I think 43 is a lot. I think that's a lot. So that's one parlay I have for you guys. The second, we have to do an anytime touchdown play. So I like these 3 players. Joe Mixon has been on fire. 7 out of the last 8 road games he's hit. He scored a touchdown. I think that with no wide receivers except Tank Dell, I think that they're gonna give Mixon the ball, especially in the red zone. Dallas Cowboys have a bottom in the barrel in rushing. Give me Bijan Robinson to score anytime touchdown. And then give me Jamar Chase to score a touchdown in the first quarter. I think it's going to be in the first quarter, but if he does it throughout the game, I'm still happy. I think that the Raiders are just in shambles, and with Higgins still out, Jamar Chase has to score. So those are my 2 parlays. We got to hit this week, and back to you, Drew.
I definitely think that first one that you put up is going to hit. I like that parlay a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah.
That's a good stat, too. I didn't know that the 12 out of 13 stat that you talked about with the Chargers.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, that seems like a pretty solid parlay. But that is it from us today. We gave you fantasy football advice. We are going to go live on TikTok now. If you are interested in joining in, we're going to be answering questions on there. We'll probably be on there for the next hour. But that is everything from us today and this week. Did you guys want to say anything before we get out of here, Nim?
Just be grateful and show all your loved ones. Be in the moment and appreciate the loved ones that you still have with you.
Darren?
Damn, I mean, I don't know how to follow that up, but happy Halloween.
Sorry. Well, go ahead.
No, after you.
It's the Day of the Dead, and so we just put the
Oh.
altar too. So like just seeing the pictures of all the loved ones that I've lost
Yeah.
and Alejandra's lost, just brings back memories. So that's kind of why I said that as well. Plus this whole almost thing.
Damn.
Yeah, sorry to
Got
leave
me
you on
listening.
a on a down note, but trying to be positive.
Hey, no, I feel it. Yeah, I mean tomorrow's Halloween, so happy Halloween to everybody. I mean, it's actually kind of a coincidence that you said that too. My grandmother was born on Halloween,
Mm.
so cool. So, and she passed away a couple years ago. So, definitely in my mind, going in tomorrow, going to celebrate her in any way possible that I can. So, good little
Yeah.
segue.
Yeah, I think eventually I'm gonna get into my passing out candy era where I'll be dressed up in a costume. I'm just not there yet. Kids don't come to my house. I'll be locking myself up and I'll be watching movies. So happy Halloween to all of you guys. That is it from us today. Enjoy the football this weekend. Have a good night.